Hello everyone. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Now, let's begin. They told me not to ask questions about the back room. It was my first day, and I thought they were just messing with the new guy. You know, fast food hazing. Wear the oversized headset, clean the fry trap, and pretend the walk-in freezer's haunted or whatever. But by the end of the week, I wasn't laughing. The Wendys I work at sits alone off Interstate 9. Not near a strip mall. Not near gas stations. Just surrounded by pine trees that seem to press closer every night. Even the GPS can't pin it right. You always miss the turn the first time. First shift was easy. Midday, steady crowd, nothing weird. But then the manager, Karen, this pale woman who moves like her joints aren't quite connected, asked me to switch to nights. Less stress, she said, without blinking. That's when I saw it. The wall of portraits. Right beside the mop sink, just past the kitchen, a row of photos labeled Employee of the Month. There were dozens of them, except none of them were smiling. Not one. Every person in every frame looked dazed, hollow, like they'd just seen something awful before the picture was snapped. Karen caught me staring. "You want your picture up there someday?" she asked, that paper-thin smile stretching too wide. I lied and said yes. Night shift started at 10 o'clock. Just me and a girl named Marnie, who barely talked. She wore 2 headsets at once and never made eye contact. But I liked her better than Karen. The first weird thing was the music. You know those same 5 songs every fast food joint loops? Except this one had something else. At first it was a hum beneath the pop songs. Then it got louder. A woman's voice, whispering. It wasn't in English. Marnie acted like she didn't hear it. Around 2:30 a.m., I noticed her staring at the men's bathroom. The door was closed, but I swear it hadn't been earlier. "I thought no one came in," I said. She didn't answer, just walked to the sink, filled a mop bucket, and whispered, "Don't open the door if it knocks." I asked what she meant. She didn't answer that either. The knock came 20 minutes later. 3 slow raps from the other side of the men's bathroom. Not loud, not desperate, just calm, like whoever or whatever was inside had all the time in the world. I froze. Then the drive-thru headset popped. "Welcome to Wendy's. May I take your order?" Marnie said, her voice flat, static. Then, "I'd like to speak to the Employee of the Month." She dropped the headset like it shocked her. I ran to the window. No car, nothing. Just trees swaying under the red glow of the parking lot lights. Another knock, louder this time, from the bathroom. I looked at the portrait wall again. There were more photos now. 2 new ones. One was me, and I hadn't taken that photo. My photo was there. Same shirt, same name tag, same tired look. But I'd never stood in front of a camera. Not at Wendy's, not ever. And I certainly hadn't posed for that wall of haunted portraits. I backed away slowly, heartbeat hammering behind my ears. Marnie was still at the register, frozen, her eyes locked on the bathroom door, which was now creaking open by itself, inch by inch, releasing the thick scent of mildew and something metallic. I whispered her name. She didn't move. The speaker crackled again. "Employee of the Month," the voice said, sharper now, like glass slicing through static. "Come in. It's your turn." The men's bathroom door swung fully open. It was pitch black inside, deeper than it should have been, like the light inside had been swallowed, and from the shadows, something stepped forward, not fully out, just close enough. It looked like me, same height, same building, same tired eyes, but there was no reflection in its pupils, just empty glass. It smiled. I turned to Marnie. She was crying now, silently, hands trembling, still wearing both headsets like she couldn't bear to take them off. "I made Employee last year," she whispered. "They said I could go home if I trained someone else." I blinked. "What?" "You're my replacement." she said. Then she opened the mop closet and stepped inside. I ran to stop her, but when I flung the door open, it was a wall. A smooth wall of red tile, with no closet behind it. No sign she was ever there. The fryers clicked on behind me. The menu lights flickered to static. I turned, and every screen in the kitchen, order displays, security monitors, even the touchscreen register, was showing the same image. Me, standing in front of the employee wall. The version of me that stepped out of the bathroom was fully inside now. It didn't speak, just pointed at the portraits. There was a new third photo now, Marnie's face, slowly fading out, turning transparent, like she'd never existed. The voice returned, not through the speaker this time, but from inside my head. You're part of the store now. Smile for the customers. My legs gave out. I fell to the floor, eyes fixed on the light above the bathroom door. It wasn't red anymore. It was pulsing white, a slow strobe, like a heartbeat, like the store itself was alive. And then the shift started again. 10 p.m., just me, alone. Fryers hissing, burgers on the grill. The headset buzzed. "Welcome to Wendy's," I said automatically. "May I take your order?" Static. Then, "I'd like to speak to the employee of the month." And this time, I smiled. I used to think the worst thing about working night shifts at Wendy's was the silence, that long, hollow silence between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. when the drive-thru headset buzzed only with static and the fryers hissed like they were whispering secrets. But I was wrong. Silence is peaceful compared to whatever this is. It started a week ago when Rodney quit without warning. He was our overnight grill guy, the only one who ever smiled during the graveyard shift. The day before he vanished, he just stared at the fry station for like 10 straight minutes. I asked him what was up, and he muttered something like, "It won't stop watching." I thought he was high. Now it's just me, the headset, the buzzing lights, and whatever's in the freezer. Tonight was slow. I cleaned the drink machine, restocked sauces, and reheated old chicken just to pass the time. Around 3:14 a.m., the drive-thru headset popped and crackled to life. "Welcome to Wendy's," I said, voice dry. "What can I get started for you?" No reply. I waited a few seconds, then again. "Hello?" The only response was a deep breath, wet, raspy, like someone right up against a mic with phlegm in their throat. Then static. Then silence. I tore the headset off. I looked out the window. The drive-thru lane was empty. The lot was dead quiet, except for the faint sound of the freezer fan running behind me, or so I thought. It wasn't the fan. It was whispering. Fast, circular whispers, like someone pacing inside the freezer muttering to themselves. I froze. My heart dropped into my stomach. I've worked here 8 months. I know every sound this place makes. That wasn't the fan. I crept toward the back, each step sounding like thunder against the tile. My shoes squeaked as I passed the supply racks and stale fry oil. The freezer door stood shut, but the tiny window was fogged over from the inside. I placed my palm on it. Cold, but the fog suddenly shifted, like something inside was breathing against the glass. Then came the knock, from the inside. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I bolted back to the counter, grabbing the emergency key from the drawer. I should have called the cops, but my phone was in my locker and something about this didn't feel like a police thing. It felt older, wrong. I stood behind the register staring at the kitchen's darkened hallway, watching shadows dance under the flickering ceiling lights. That's when I noticed the headset was still on the counter and the drive-thru speaker was hissing again. I picked it up, trembling. "Please," I said, barely able to breathe. "Stop." A voice came through. It was Rodney. "It never lets you leave, man." Click. Then the lights above me went out, except for the freezers. It's glowing under the door, like a lantern now. And the whispers are louder. They're saying my name. I don't know how long I stood there. Might have been seconds. Might have been 10 whole minutes. I just kept staring at the freezer door, glowing like a dying sun from the back of the kitchen. The whispers hadn't stopped. They'd only grown clearer. My name, over and over again, but wrong somehow. Bent. I took one step toward it, and the whispering stopped. The silence was worse. For a second, I almost believed I'd imagined it all. But then the emergency lights kicked on, bathing the dining room in a soft red glow. That wasn't normal. The emergency power never triggered unless something tripped the fire panel. And then the smell hit me. Burnt beef mixed with something sour, like spoiled milk and rot. It was coming from the kitchen. I rounded the counter again, slowly, keeping my eyes locked on the freezer door. It was slightly open now, just a crack, enough to see the frost curling out like smoke. I heard it before I saw it, the slosh of wet footsteps padding through puddles that weren't supposed to be there. Then came the creak of the freezer door opening further, inch by inch, and Rodney stepped out, or what was left of him. His Wendy's polo was shredded and blackened like it had been burned, and frost clung to his face like spider webs, but his eyes were the worst part. They weren't human anymore, pale, glassy, and flickering like freezer lights. He moved without blinking, without even breathing, dragging one leg behind him like it didn't belong to his body. And then he spoke, but it didn't come from his mouth. The words came from the speakers overhead, the same ones that usually played top 40 hits and old commercials. "You opened the door," the speakers said in his voice. I stumbled back, slipping on grease as the overhead lights burst to life again. But this time, the walls weren't the same. The posters were all wrong. They advertised menu items we hadn't sold in years. The cash register was the old green model from the 90s. The drive-through window showed cars from another decade, moving in eerie slow motion, lights flickering like old film reels. This wasn't my Wendy's anymore. Rodney stepped forward. "You clocked in," the speaker voice continued. "Now you've finished the shift." The walls began to pulse, like breathing. The tile beneath me turned soft, sticky. My shoes sank into the floor. I ran. I don't remember deciding to. I just did. Sprinting through the dining room, toward the front door, I grabbed the handle with everything I had. Locked. No matter how hard I pulled, it wouldn't move. I slammed the glass with a chair. Nothing. No sound. Like the world outside was gone. Then the fryers turned on by themselves. The smell of hot oil filled the air. But what dropped into the baskets wasn't fries. It was fingers. Human. Blackened and twitching. I screamed. I ran back toward the staff area, tripping through the hallway, toward the lockers. My phone. I had to get my phone. I flung open my locker and found a headset inside. A drive-through headset. It was wet, covered in frost, and something red, and taped to it was a time card. My name was stamped on it. Clock in. 10 p.m. Clock out. It was blank. Just an empty dash. The whispers began again. From every vent, every speaker, every fryer and drain. They didn't just say my name now. They were laughing. I never made it outside. I don't know what time it is anymore. There's no sun here. The shifts never end. The customers in the drive-thru keep ordering things we don't serve. The bags pack themselves. I hear footsteps in the ceiling. And Rodney's always here, cleaning the grill, smiling that frozen smile. There's a new guy coming in tonight. I hope he doesn't open the freezer.